everyone, and welcome back to English Snap Lab. Today we are wandering into the deep, dark woods to follow the trail of Hansel and Gretel. In this session, we have a very specific SNAP mission. Directional language. We will master how to say left, right, straight ahead, and followed. Kitchen and food vocabulary. We will explore the materials used to build the witch's house, from gingerbread to candy, and the tools found in a kitchen, like the oven. Let's grab our breadcrumbs and start the journey. Part 1. The Trail of Crumbs. Once upon a time, at the edge of a vast forest, lived a poor woodcutter and his 2 children, Hansel and Gretel. Because they had very little food, the family was often hungry. One morning, the children's stepmother led them deep into the woods. Hansel, who was very clever, dropped small white pebbles along the path so they could find their way home. They walked straight ahead for miles until they reached the thickest part of the forest. When it was time to return, Hansel looked down at the ground and followed the shiny pebbles all the way back to their cottage. However, the second time they were led into the woods, Hansel had no pebbles. Instead, he crumbled his small piece of bread and dropped the crumbs as they walked. They turned left at the old oak tree and then right past the stream. But when they tried to return, the breadcrumbs were gone. The birds had eaten them. The children were lost. They wandered aimlessly through the trees, turning left and right, until they saw a wondrous sight, a house made entirely of food. Part 2. The Gingerbread House. The house was a masterpiece of confectionery. The walls were made of gingerbread, the roof was crusted cake, and the windows were clear sugar. The fence was built with candy canes, and the garden was filled with gumdrops and marshmallows. Hungry and tired, the children began to eat. Hansel broke off a piece of the gingerbread wall, and Gretel tasted the sugar window. Suddenly, the door creaked open, and an old woman appeared. She invited them inside, but she was not kind. She was a wicked witch. She locked Hansel in a cage to fatten him up and forced Gretel to work in the kitchen. Gretel had to wash the pots, scrub the counters, and prepare the stove. The witch was very short-sighted, so every day she asked Hansel to stick his finger out of the cage so she could feel if he was getting fat. Hansel, being shrewd, held out an old chicken bone instead. Because the bone felt thin, the witch grew impatient. Finally, the witch decided she could wait no longer. "Gretel," she shouted, "check the oven to see if it is hot enough." The witch intended to push Gretel into the oven to cook her. But Gretel was clever. She said, "I don't know how to check it. The door is too heavy. Can you show me?" The witch grumbled and stepped towards the large iron oven. She leaned in to check the temperature. Immediately, Gretel gave her a mighty push. The witch fell into the oven, and Gretel slammed the door shut and turned the latch. Gretel quickly unlocked Hansel's cage, and they hugged with joy. Before leaving, they found a chest of jewels and pearls hidden under the witch's bed. They filled their pockets and prepared to leave the frightening house. Part 4. The Way Home. To get home, they had to be very careful with their directions. They walked past the witch's garden and turned left at the pond. They crossed a wide river on the back of a kind white duck. Once on the other side, they followed a familiar path through the tall pines. Suddenly, they saw their father's cottage straight ahead. They ran towards him and lived happily ever after, never going hungry again. Learning summary for English Snap Lab. Directions. We practiced using left, right, straight ahead, and followed. Kitchen vocabulary. We learned about the oven, stove, pots, latch, and counters. Food adjectives. gingerbread, frosted, sugary, delicious. Prepositions of movement: into the woods, through the pines, towards the cottage, and out of the cage. Tell me in the comments, if you were going to build a house out of food, what would the walls be made of? Use at least one kitchen vocabulary word in your answer. Don't forget to like and subscribe to English Snap Lab. Keep following the path. See you in the next story.